Today, we have an entitled grandmother who plays the victim when she doesn't respect the mother's wishes of not putting her 4-month-old baby in risky situations due to her love of bonfires. Without further ado, let's get cracking. Mother thinks she has rights to my child and treats him like a doll to show off. Honestly, I just need a place to vent. My mother is the entitled parent in this story. Her and I have never had a great relationship. She resented me growing up because she was a single mom and never wanted children. She would never spend time or engage with me and would instead throw money at me to show she cared. Now, I'm grown and independent and just had a baby of my own, and she feels entitled to my son. I've made certain decisions about his upbringing that I'm trying to adhere to. Nothing crazy, just trying to avoid using unnecessary products on him. No baby lotion, no diaper cream unless he gets a rash, homemade baby food, etc. He's now 4 months, and it's been working well for us. My mother is very insistent that she gets to see him 2 to 3 times a week. She refers to herself as Glamma, a mix of glam and grandma, and has already procured a few items that say best grandma ever. I have been very hesitant to let her watch him for extended periods of time. I didn't have the best upbringing and honestly believe she would not do what's best for my son. She has always been a very materialistic person and extremely concerned about the image she presents to other people. So I get anxiety thinking about him staying overnight at her place. She keeps asking for him to spend the night, saying she's doing it for me because I need the sleep. But I know it's because she likes the novelty of having a baby around. She first started asking for him to spend the night at her place when he was 2 weeks old. I have said no every single time. Even when she was first allowed to babysit him, I had to set ground rules because she kept trying to plan parties whenever he was over. She was just trying to show him off to all her friends and neighbors. The thing is, he's a baby. Large groups of people are not good for babies because their immune systems are weak, and our city has a number of measles outbreaks. I had to tell her repeatedly that she couldn't be inviting groups of strangers over to pass him around like a doll. She finally agreed and I let him spend a few hours at her place. She still kept asking for him to spend the night. She also calls me every day asking when is he going to visit her again, and offering to take him off my hands for a few days like he's an inconvenience. My husband had to go to British Columbia for a wedding, so I was alone for a week. It was hard. 6 days into it, and I was at the end of my rope. I had barely had any adult interaction and had only slept 3 hours a day. So I called my mother up and asked her if my son and I can spend the night at her place. I needed sleep, but didn't want to leave him there without me all night. I figured this could be a good compromise. I would be available if anything went wrong, and she would get off my back about him staying over. She had been nagging me for weeks about how I should just give him a pablum and he would sleep through the night. He was a preemie and our pediatrician said to wait for solids, but she thought she knew best. I had to constantly tell her not to feed him anything but his milk. The night came where I was supposed to go to her place. I get there, and there are 15 other people over. Turns out she was having a dinner party. Whether or not she had arranged this before I asked to come over, I don't know. I told her my son goes to bed at 8, and I really needed to sleep. She assured me everyone would be gone by 9. That didn't happen. They ended up starting a bonfire, and she's trying to get me to sit by the fire with my son. I tell her I don't want him all around all that smoke. He's only 4 months old, so he needs to stay in the house. Besides, it's 8 and he needs to go to bed. She tells me I'm being unreasonable and should just let him sleep by the fire. I put my foot down and say no. He ends up in his bassinet and I'm waiting for the party to be done so I can sleep. Because my husband has been gone and I've been dealing with the baby on my own for 6 days, my sleep schedule has been completely out of whack. I was hoping to take some sleeping pills to get a good night's rest since she was going to feed him through the night. So now I'm waiting for her to come in and take over for me. 10 rolls around and she pops in for a drink before heading back out. I ask her again how late the party is going to go since I'm desperate to get some sleep. She tells me it should be over soon. Again. And that she can't stay in the house because she has guests over and she needs to entertain them. 10:45 comes and she's still at the bonfire. Again, she comes in to grab something and she sees that I'm still up. She tells me I'm being silly and I should just go to sleep. She doesn't seem to understand that I have insomnia and need to take sleeping pills and can't do that until someone else can watch my son. The someone being her, since I asked her and she offered. I remind her that I was there to sleep and I was waiting on her. She then tells me I'm being ungrateful since she had this party planned and she couldn't just ask everyone to leave. She said I should just go to sleep and not worry about my son so much. I tell her she can't be taking care of him if she's outside. She wouldn't even hear him if he woke up. She said I should stop stressing, that people will leave soon, and went back to her party. 11:30 comes around and I'm so tired I start crying. I can't sleep and I wasn't getting the help I asked for. I decided to just take my son and go home. If I was doing it on my own, I'd rather be around my own things and in my own bed. I pack him up and send her a text saying she was too preoccupied to watch my son and that we're going home. She didn't even see my message until 12:30. How well could she have watched him if she didn't leave her bonfire until then? I ended up getting a string of messages saying it was unfair of me to take him away, that I shouldn't say she didn't care because she spent $700 on him that day, so obviously she cared. I never mentioned anything about caring or not caring. She said I was being ungrateful because if I would have stayed, I would have been able to sleep in the morning while she took care of him. I don't trust for 1 minute that she would have done right by him. Her guests were taking up all her time. A week goes by and she asks twice if he can stay the night at her place. I have no faith in her watching him overnight, but I agree to let her watch him during the day Saturday. She says she's going to sleep in, but should pick him up around 9 or 10. 11 rolls around, and I haven't heard from her. I give her a call, and she says she just got home and that she can't pick him up until later, so I should just drop him off at her place. She was supposed to pick him up because she lives 30 minutes out of town on an acreage, but drives right past our house when she goes shopping. I tried telling her it is too inconvenient to drive him to her place. I'll just keep him with me. But she wears me down and I eventually make the drive out to her place. I tell her I'll pick him up in the evening around 9:30 or 10. At 5, I get a text from her saying she decided to have a bonfire and has invited a bunch of people over. Seriously, the exact same thing as the week before? And I tell her again that I don't want my son sitting out in the hot sun or hanging around the smoke from the fire. I tell her I don't care what she does, but I will pick up my son if she can't watch him. She tells me she is watching him and that I don't need to take him. I go to get him and I'm angry. I have asked her time and time again not to have him out around groups of strangers or to have him around smoke, and she just won't listen. I didn't even want to send him over to her place, but she just kept nagging that she should watch him. So I planned my day around him being with her and then had to cancel a D&D game in the middle of the session because she couldn't respect my wishes. When I picked him up, she started yelling at me saying that I'm ungrateful. She was doing a great job watching him and how much all her guests are loving him. She tells me that I'm being unreasonable and rude. To top it off, she tells me that she's going to tell my Baba about this behavior and that Baba will give me a talking to. What the what, woman? I should have known better than to try and trust her. She insists on babysitting my dog every weekend. He has pancreatitis and can't eat fatty foods. He gets extremely sick. But she ignores when I say this and continues to feed him bacon because he likes it. If she can't take care of my dog, how in the world is she going to be able to take care of a child? And the worst is how she keeps acting like a victim, saying I'm treating her unfairly. Man, I really just need to get this off my chest. That entitled grandmother is the worst. She's completely unreliable and acts like a child constantly. She doesn't listen to the child's mother at all and is completely selfish. I feel so bad for the mother who has been so emotionally abused that she can't handle her own mother. What would you guys do in this situation? If you like videos like this, then make sure to like this video. And if you want more, then subscribe and hit that bell so you'll know when the next one comes out. And speaking of which, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.